That's how I describe watching Broncos football this season, Will. It is your Broncos Raiders post-game recap podcast brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app. I don't know if all the money in the world could make me feel any better about the Broncos, though. But make sure you use code DNVR when you sign up to get all of their exclusive offers. So tonight, I foregoed the live stream after the game because the Bills-Cardinals game was so fucking amazing. I was like, I just want to make a video about the Hail Mary here because it was awesome. So that also pushed back doing this live on YouTube. Let the Raiders loss maybe have some of its sting dissipate a little bit. I don't know. I have moved past the Broncos-Raiders game already, mentally, emotionally. But I feel like you're having a harder time dealing with the Broncos losses, Will. Is that fair?
Why do you assume that? Do I just look like it?
No, because
which I think would be fair. It definitely looks like I've had a tough time watching my team.
No, because you texted me after the game, do we have to?
Yeah. All right, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, talking about sting, I wish this game did sting more. That's the problem is like it's getting to that point in the season, and I felt the same thing the last 4 years where – and it happens right around week 9, week 10, where the losses don't even really hurt anymore. You kind of just get numb to it, and that's the worst place to be as a fan when all the bad losses just blend together and you see the same things happening every single week. That's when it really starts to get dangerous. Like a good painful loss is good for the soul and it's good for character.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. What was the final scores? 37-12.
37-12.
Raiders beat the Broncos 37-12. And it's weird because I don't expect much out of the Broncos, but I expected them to be competitive in this game, which they were for the first half. Like, they kept it close. They did so many things horribly wrong, but they were only down heading into halftime 10-6, right? So you're like, okay, where they have played well the last 2 games have been in the second half. Maybe they can get something going. But against I don't want to say the Raiders defense is bad, but it's not a defense that has caused a lot of dynamic plays, a lot of turnovers this year. It's just been, I think we described it as like vanilla in the prediction episode. Drew Lock throws 4 fucking interceptions to the Raiders. The first 2 to, was it Jeff Heath?
Jeff Heath.
Their safety?
Yep.
Talk about vanilla. I mean.
What's up with my vanilla face?
Yeah, I mean, I thought I had hopes that this game would be competitive. I didn't think the Broncos would ultimately win because I just think that's where the team is at. And we've talked about it every week, the injuries, all the other shit. Like, there's a lot stacked against them. But they weren't competitive in this game. Their offense looked horrible. Drew Lock looked horrible. Like, he has played – that was his worst game. That was his worst game. And you just expect to like see maybe him do something better this week, something better next week, something better and it's just been bad. And then 2 weeks he had great fourth quarters, and that gives us enough hope to believe in the team and watch. And then we just get gut punched the way totally. Tim Patrick punched Isaiah Johnson's helmet and got ejected, which really sucked because it negated a pass interference penalty that maybe maybe could have sparked a drive where the Broncos scored. There was still a chance for competition at that point. And then, boom, ejected. I don't know. It's a lot to hate about this game.
That's how it's gone this year. I mean, I felt like in the first half, they weren't really like keeping it close as much as the Raiders were keeping it close.
Yeah.
You get that Hunter Renfrow punt return that gets wiped out. They would have started inside the 30 on another play, if not for a special teams penalty. It's like they were trying to match every terrible special teams play Denver had with one of their own, signature Raiders penalties, which, I'm glad in a year where everything feels different, those penalties are still right on schedule. But starting off the first play of the goddamn game, Deontay Spencer tries to reverse his field like he's Marcus Allen in the Super Bowl and ends up even a guy as fast as him. You can't do that in the NFL. And no wonder he gets taken out on the 4-yard line. So
no.
And then I think, you invite a hold on plays like that too, or a block in the back, and pretty soon your offense, who isn't good to begin with, you have them start at the 2-yard line. It's like special teams, they're so important, not just because they're impact plays on them, by themselves. Like you can have touchdowns or turnovers, whatever, but they really complement the way you play offense and defense. And when your offense isn't going well, you need special teams plays to set them up in good situations. And that makes it all the more devastating when your offense can't really move the ball or is turning the ball over. And the special teams are setting them up inside the 5 like 3 times in this game.
Yeah, the Broncos –
total uphill battle.
I would be willing to bet a couple records the Broncos could break this year are worst starting field position, most yards lost on first and second down, and most boneheaded special teams plays. I didn't even see the opening play of the game. Like, I was working on our best and worst script. I had to go downstairs. I went to the bathroom to take a piss. I came back out, and I was like, how the fuck are they on the 2-yard line? Like, yeah. I was like, well, I'll get on Twitter and figure it out. But I couldn't fathom how you would end up on the 2-yard line. Like, I was like, did they fumble? Was it like a weird squib kick that bounced past somebody? Not
that would have been better.
I should have guessed Deontay Spencer running backwards because we've seen him do it before, and his greatest weakness has been fielding punts when he shouldn't, within the 5-yard line. So he's not scared of that touchback or that safety area or whatever the fuck you want to call it. And then we had there was that punt too where Devonte Harris got hit into.
He got blocked into his own guy.
Yeah.
That felt like it's still a penalty, but
yeah.
I don't know. Who cares? It doesn't matter at this point.
No, it definitely does not. It was just – so, I mean, going in, all the mistakes, everything. Like I said, they were only down by 4 in the second half. And then the Raiders stopped basically making mistakes, and the Broncos never picked it up on offense. Like, that's what changed.
Yeah. The Broncos took – the Raiders' mistakes and claimed them for their own in the second half. But it just felt like this game hinged on that one play, and you probably know what play I'm talking about. It was the Drew Lock read option where he looks like he's, running in the end zone for his 3rd rushing touchdown in 4 games, and Noah Fant holds on the end. And a play later, Lock throws another pick to Jeff Heath, and that's a 7-point swing in a situation where they could have either tied or taken the lead.
Yeah, that play is where all hell broke loose. I've bragged about it before, but I tend to have at least one psychic moment during the Broncos games. And after once the play got flagged and the touchdown came back, in my head I was like, this next play, they're going to try to force it in, and it's going to be a disaster. Like, that was my thought. Like, It wasn't, okay, they've got another shot here. It was just like, this is going to be bad. And I was like, fuck, you should have tweeted that. But you didn't. And, Locke fired a bad pass where he got picked. And what really sucks is, okay, so the one area I'm willing to forgive the Broncos for not playing well is in stopping the run, okay?
Yep.
Because they got nobody up on that fucking D-line. And they did a pretty good job for a half against, Josh Jacobs and, more importantly, Devonte Booker. Booker had like like Phillip Lindsay had like negative rushing yard for whatever. And don't get me wrong, Jacobs had a touchdown. He was running the ball, but it wasn't like every play was a 12-yard run or some shit. But by the end of the game, Jacobs finishes with 112 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns. And in garbage time, Booker cranks out 2 touchdowns, finishes with 81 yards on 16 carries, just to add insult to injury. And like we just mentioned in the Bills-Cardinals recap, you see Isaiah McKenzie throwing a touchdown pass to Josh Allen. It's becoming like a joke to see players who I'm not saying like I would want the Broncos to definitely get back on the roster, but just other teams figuring out creative ways to use guys or get them involved and have success with them. And I'm not going to look too much into Booker scorching the Broncos late because the game was over, but he's been good this season for the Raiders, so that stings a little bit.
Well, it begs the question, like, why couldn't the Broncos figure those guys out? Because Booker was pretty good as a rookie. And then, for one reason or another, it didn't work out, and they kind of relegated him after his second season for good reason too, because Phillip Lindsay takes off as a rookie, and then last year goes over 100 yards both seasons. It just feels like Royce Freeman's gonna play for a team like the Steelers or something next year and have a crazy like 1,300 yard season.
Yeah, and then like Barstool,
not a good feeling.
Yeah. Barstool Sports will make like $300,000 or $400,000 selling Rolls Royce shirts.
Yeah,
the merch he's just so good.
Exactly. It's like, oh, I feel so good after, saving my body last season, not getting any carries. Awesome.
It was just the offensive effort just felt so blah. Like the Broncos couldn't run the ball. And then when the game was kind of like out of reach, like seeing Jerry Jeudy not get his feet in bounds in the back of the end zone on the 2-point conversion. I know the throw's a little late there from Drew Lock, but that's you don't do that as a wide receiver. Nobody was around him. He just stepped out of bounds. Just like, oh shit.
Yeah, it just felt like they were in one of those avalanche situations where a couple things go wrong and then everything goes wrong, and they don't have an adult in the room to tell them to like calm down.
Yeah.
And Drew Lock doesn't have that. He doesn't have that gene yet as a quarterback to say like, okay, that was a bad pick. I'm going to settle myself down and just take like an easy pass and not try to get it all back on the next play, because that's felt like what he was doing. I think it was either back-to-back interceptions or threw an interception to end the first half, came out with a 3-and-out to start the second half, and then that pick to Carl Nassib, which was – I was just going back and seeing Carl Nassib get the pick, and I thought he was going to return it for a touchdown at a point.
Yeah, they're
just having flashbacks of him on Hard Knocks explaining finance to everybody else on the Browns and being like, anybody but this guy. Anybody.
The way he explained finance, like the quality of his explanation was the quality of the Broncos offense trying to tackle him on that play. I was like, oh God, somebody just get him. Somebody just trip him up. And finally he did. I don't know. I think Bryce Callahan played pretty good for a while.
He did.
He benefited from Darren Waller just dropping a surefire touchdown, but Callahan had some nice breakups. Nelson Aguilar, after I credited him for being over-criticized for for drops, I said he drops them in key places, and he had a touchdown drop. So, some things stay true. Broncos special teams bad, play calling. Like, I don't even know how much to criticize Shermer anymore at this point. But if you had to blame somebody more, would you blame Shermer for the offense or Tom McMahon for the special teams?
I'd say special teams.
Yeah, it
It doesn't
feels
feel like they've had a positive special teams play all season.
no, and it just seems
Aside
like
from Brandon McManus just nailing long
yeah,
field goals, which is like totally – and even that, like McMahon's tried to ruin by not letting him kick from 58 last week.
yeah. Did you see like McManus explain that, saying like my pregame warmups for the 2 previous games, I wasn't great, but this last one, I was nailing them from however long. So I don't know why he thought my range wasn't there. It's just like I don't know.
It feels like they picked the worst times to let him kick and not kick.
Yeah,
it's like one time, sometime they'll like let him try it from 64 on dirt at the old Raiders Coliseum, and then 58 yards in the Mercedes-Benz Dome.
Yeah,
perfect conditions. That's a bridge too far for us.
Yeah, it just seems like the Broncos coaches lack some leadership and basic football intelligence.
Yeah, and I thought I pictured Vic Fangio when they hired him to be like this, more than anything like a presence on the sideline. And he, I know this like isn't what makes or breaks a good coach, but yeah, exactly that. He's Mary Catherine Gallagher with his hands in his armpits.
Yeah.
It's like you want like your coach to exude a little bit of confidence.
Yeah.
That's like part of it. It's kind of like, and we're not going to get political here, but it's like a president.
Right.
Like the president's behavior kind of models the country's behavior and kind of just like their overall feeling for a while. And the coach is kind of the same. Like part of it is, X's and O's, and then the other half of it is being a PR figurehead.
Yeah. No, I mean,
you kind of want more.
If we're going to talk about Fangio, you have to take advantage of every single opportunity you have during a game to put your team in the best place to win. And I think a good example from this game was when it looked like the Broncos stopped Josh Jacobs on a 4th and 1 rushing attempt. And then there was a holding penalty on the play. So the Broncos accepted the penalty because it looked like they thought the refs were going to give him the first down, and maybe the refs had given him the first down. And after they accept that penalty, then instead of having that stop with like decent field position, they let the Raiders punt, and the Raiders down the punt like at the 5 or within the 5. So Vic Fangio's job in that situation is to get clarity from the refs about if they think it's a first, right, and then either challenge the play, get something from your booth. Like it just felt like they accepted the result there,
right,
when it looked like to everyone that he was short. So I think maybe they win the challenge there or not, but I don't know if that's all on him, but successful teams usually win those type of situations, and just felt like the Broncos took an L on that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like people complain about John Harbaugh always bitching to the refs. And it's like you want a coach in that situation that's gonna like totally fight tooth and nail for the right call.
Yeah.
On that play, and not be like, oh well, because if you're gonna say that the game is won and lost in the death by inches motto, and not and not challenge there for something that was a matter of inches that turns into a matter of like 40 yards within a play.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just like it's poor leadership, like you said. It's I don't know. I think it creates. Obviously, it puts them in a bad situation, as it has the last couple of weeks, between that and the field goal they didn't try. Even if they don't make it, like you want to send the message to your guys that you're comfortable putting the ball in your best player's hand, or in this case, foot. Yeah. So like those mistakes, it just feels like it emanates from the top down and affects all 45 guys out there.
Yeah.
46. Is it 46?
46 guys.
Sure.
49. I don't know. I don't even care.
Yeah, somewhere around there. Who's to say, really? There's no way of knowing.
There's no way of knowing.
Yeah.
But that shouldn't stop you from checking out DraftKings Sportsbook. Week 10 of football is in the books, and now it's time to review the tape and get ready for Week 11. There's no better place to get in on all the action than with DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app. To add to the excitement of this upcoming Week 11, DraftKings is bringing back their can't-miss offer. So if you haven't tried DraftKings yet, head over to the App Store now. Well, just go there through your phone. You can't really head to the App Store. You can't get in your car and drive to the App Store. Not
It'd be
yet,
kind of cool
anyway.
if you could.
But you know what I'm talking about. Because DraftKings is giving all new users the chance to earn a sign-up bonus of up to $1,000 when signing up using code DNVR. DraftKings has endless ways for you to bet, from live betting on betting to your favorite players, parlays, they do it all. And if football's not for you, DraftKings Sportsbook is giving MMA fans who sign up now the chance to triple H, no wrestler, their winnings for any bet placed on UFC 255. Download DraftKings now and use code DNVR when you sign up to get up to $1,000. That's code DNVR to get the sign-up bonus of up to $1,000 for a limited time. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Got to be 21. This is for Colorado only. Bonus comprised of a first-time deposit bonus. Deposit bonus required 25 times playthrough. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700. 25 times playthrough. That feels like how many times it's going to take for the Broncos to get any plays right on offense.
Pretty much. At least last week they did have the garbage time explosion.
Yeah. It makes it feel a little better, doesn't it?
Yeah, and this week they got the garbage time flipped around on them.
Yeah, they did.
And sure enough, it was Devonte Booker, which that just feels it really is insult to injury. But they kind of deserve it in a way.
A little bit. At least we can say Jerry Jeudy had more yards than Ruggs. Jeudy 68 with 4 catches. Ruggs 3 for 31. So we're still winning that race.
It is. Yeah, and we didn't have Shelby Harris out there, which
no Shelby.
Having Shelby Harris out there might have prevented some of those Devonte Booker runs. And B, Shelby Harris was clutch against the Raiders last season, so that's kind of probably how they feel seeing Shelby Harris succeed with us like we do.
What's crazy
over there?
Yeah, what's weird though?
What?
The Raiders win 37-12. And if you asked me if I could have Derek Carr as the Broncos quarterback, I don't think I would take him.
Yeah.
This game, he's 16-25 for 154 yards, no touchdown passes, no interceptions though. And what he's been doing really well this year is playing smart, safe football. In his last 3 wins, he hasn't thrown for more than 200 yards. And sure, winning would be nice, but I feel like I just don't want to watch that style of football anymore as a football fan. And not that we've had it. We've had quarterbacks throwing for 150 yards and also 3 picks in that same time. But I guess I question the validity of Derek Carr against really good teams. We'll see how that plays out because we've seen him play, decent this year, but he plays such a boring style of offense.
Right. Well, we saw them rise to the occasion in Kansas City and get that win, and Derek Carr played really, really well.
Right.
And we saw them not rise to the occasion at home against Tampa Bay. And it's fair to question, they're 6-3. I don't know if that's a soft 6-3 or if it's a rock hard 6-3, but 6-3 is 6-3.
No, they're a decent football team, overall.
Yeah, I don't have a ton of speaking objectively because I don't hate the Raiders like I do other teams. I question their ability to win a playoff game.
Yeah, if I had to compare them, they feel like the Rams to me.
Really?
Yeah.
In what way?
In the way that they're both 6-3, and you never know if they're going to win or lose a game.
Yeah.
The Rams just beat the Seahawks, so like they can win those important division games. And the Raiders right now are what, 3-0 in the division?
Beat Kansas City, beat the Chargers last
yep.
week, and then beat us this week. So yeah, they're 3-0.
Yep. Phillip Lindsay, 4 carries for 2 yards.
That's what you want. You want to get the ball in your best offensive player's hand as few times as possible, and they did a nice job of that today.
Yeah.
So great job there by the play callers and quality control. Love to see it.
Love it.
I'm not sure the offense was really setting up any holes for him, though. Melvin Gordon had a pretty good game, but it felt like he had to break about 4 tackles just to pick up 5 yards on most of those runs.
No,
it's probably what made it so impressive.
2 of his best runs, it felt like he broke at least 3 tackles each time. Like one was that sideline run, and the other was when they were backed up on their goal line. He kind of just sprung it through the middle. And the announcers took like a nice dig on the Raiders on that first one, saying something like, "The Raiders are one of the worst tackling teams in the NFL." And Melvin Gordon, I forget. Was that?
Yeah, but you just want them to. I was like, I kind of laughed at the people who were talking about Phillip Lindsay needs to be the starter, because who cares who starts at running back? It really just comes down to who. It's not quarterback. It just comes down to who gets more carries.
Yeah.
Over the course of a game. And Phillip Lindsay's not a guy you want to give the ball to 30 times. And you have to have Melvin Gordon out there, because if Phillip Lindsay's out there, the chances that they're going to pass go way down, and you're kind of tipping your hand to the defense, like the opposite of James White. So that kind of makes things difficult for the offense, and it's why they really wanted Phillip Lindsay to acquire some receiving skills over the offseason, and I think that Falcons game proved that that might not have happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think anytime your best ball carrier, I'll just say ball carrier, gets the ball 4 times, that's a major failure. And you have your quarterback who's throwing 4 picks, throw the ball 50 plus times. That's like a Matt Nagy style game call.
Yeah. No, I just don't get it. I don't know what the fuck they're doing. And the games are they're not fun to watch. That's the thing.
Not in any way. Yeah.
It feels like a chore. Because if I weren't working, I don't care, because I got to watch it to pay my bills, right? We got to talk about it. So I don't have a choice.
Yeah,
But if I were a normal human being, I would be bailing on these games early for the first time in my life, so I could probably get some yard work done or some shit around the house, or just spend some time with my baby daughter. I wouldn't feel obligated to keep watching these games. And the last time I kind of felt that way is when we were getting peak Kyle Orton era.
Same. Yeah.
I was just oh man. And then, Tebow came in and kind of changed that. But I saw Andrew Mason tweeted out this odd stat, but it was Drew Lock has a 66.5 passer rating so far this season. Here are the QBs since 2000 who had passer ratings below 70 in their second pro season with a minimum of 200 attempts. Brody Croyle, David Carr, John Skelton, Cade McCown, J.P. Lossman, Joey Harrington, Kellen Clemens, Akili Smith.
Remember Brody Croyle? There's some crazy stat about Brody Croyle. Maybe it said he never won a game, or that he never threw a touchdown. Oh yeah, no, he threw touchdowns.
No, he never kissed a girl.
Is that true? Oh, he was 0-10 in his career. So that was it. He just like couldn't win a game, and they thought he was going to be a guy. They picked him in the 3rd round, 85th overall.
Yeah. My confidence in Drew Lock is going down every week.
Well, maybe it's just like a sign of how poisoned my brain has become, but it's almost like as bad as watching all the interceptions really at this point. But to see Colin Cowherd take a victory lap over
I hate it.
Over like a position he just flipped on 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Is one of the worst parts of this. Seeing all like the eternal pessimists on Twitter or Reddit or, in your text messages, just take a victory lap because, I called it. He sucks. Like, good.
Okay.
Good for you. Enjoy it.
Oh, you mean you called it during the game where he played horrible for 3 quarters? Yeah. Like, I mean, that's like essentially what he did was he saw some legitimate reasons why you could question Drew Lock, but he picked the most ridiculous one as his reason. So then he could say he looks right later, right? It would be, I'm trying to think of like an equivalent.
Well, it's like, let's say like we're talking about like a hypothetical like president here, and I truly mean that hypothetically. You're like, he's ugly or he's like too short, and then he starts like a terrible endless war in the Middle East. And you're like, see, I told you. Sucks. He's a bad president.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, no, that's not really how it works, but he's a very successful radio host with more money than you or I combined, and therefore we have to bow down to his almighty authority.
Yeah, I think he makes like $5 million a year or more.
Oh boy, we really picked the wrong approach with this.
Yeah, no, we'll get there. Probably not to $5 million a year, but maybe.
Well, you know what? Like, I don't want to say like all sports talk radio is bad, because there are the cowherds of the world, but there's also guys like Ryan Russillo who I think have really, really like reasonable takes and have built a career on being.
Dan Patrick's the same way.
Yeah, Dan Patrick, like being one of the more rational voices in the room.
Like that's his whole thing, is to not overreact to shit.
Yeah. I mean, maybe that's like, it comes down to like listenership and be like, why, you have to like evaluate why we're listening to those people.
Yeah.
It's like when we get mad at them and we like retweet them, or, they're wrong and we take a victory lap in their face, like we're playing into their hands, and we're funding Colin Cowherd's 5th vacation home.
Yeah, no shit.
So maybe let's just like, with these guys, let's just ignore them.
It's hard. Yeah, it's hard to do.
It's hard.
Because the flip side is you can get some clicks and views too by shitting on them for being so stupid.
Yeah. It's a double-edged sword sometimes. It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah, exactly. But after a certain point, when your team refuses to be good, like, I'm losing any desire to counter,
Oh, totally.
Like,
yeah, no, it really it renders you totally flaccid as a fan.
I am a flaccid Broncos fan.
You just submit to everybody talking shit about your team. You're like, yeah, you're right. We suck. You're right. Yeah, I know. Drew Lock sucks. Yeah, okay. Yep, no, okay, great. And that's like how it's been for 4 years. 4 years in a row, they started 3-6. That's, I'll say it. It's bad.
That's a stat. That's a good stat. That's a good, terrible stat. Sorry, my baby just screamed.
Still awake?
Well, she was sleeping. But sometimes,
She's probably reading some Colin Cowherd tweets.
Yeah, my wife's on it. I'm good. The baby slept until 5 a.m. last night. That was the longest stretch. So we might be getting into a sweet spot here.
Right on time.
I've got a lot of work between now and Tuesday. I don't even know what I'm going to do for the Broncos review at this point. Like, I don't know if I'm going to do another reaction thing because it's a little bit easier, or I just don't feel like reliving this game any way, any shape, or in any form.
I don't know if other people want to either. I mean, the real tragedy of this game is that there were 6 games in the afternoon slot, which there never are. And I think that was a concerted effort maybe on the part of the NFL to avoid the Masters. I'm not sure why it happened, or it just broke that there are a ton of West Coast games this week. But to have to sit through that game instead of Bills Cardinals or anything else was
Bills Cardinals, Seahawks Rams,
disaster.
Yeah. The only other game that was bad was, Bengals Steelers. So,
yeah, it's, in terms of like you feel like you're wasting your Sunday, you also just like you feel like you're wasting your football Sunday too.
Yeah. Yeah. I was happy to see that Cardinals game because it gave me like energy to do something productive tonight.
It did. We got some time at the end there because I gave up on the Broncos with about 5 minutes to go in the game and then switched full time to red zone. And that was enough time to see the Bills drive down, take the lead, and then the Cardinals get it back. And what they did.
Yeah, I mean, I was satisfied with that game with Josh Allen driving down the field and throwing a game winner to Diggs. I was like, okay, fuck yeah. Let's hype up the Bills fans this week. And I really did not think the Cardinals had a chance to – well, I mean, there's always a chance, but I didn't think they were going to. There was less than a minute in the game, and then, boom, you get a Hail Mary, and it looks so close to Rodgers' Hail Mary.
I was just going to say.
In the same stadium, the same field.
Same spot of the field.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. I think the Rodgers throw is a little more impressive if you watch it, just because he spins. He's also rolling to his left, and just the way he spins, stops and spins and throws it, falling back, and the kind of arc and distance that he gets on it is just you watch it and you're like, damn, only Mahomes. I spoiled that part of the video, but
no, it's fine. I put that joke at a different part, but yeah. And then, I mean, Hopkins just going up with 3 dudes around him and just having his hands emerge victorious. It's
it's not even on the Bills, really. It's not their fault.
No.
It's just one of those cases where they played well. The Cardinals played well. The Cardinals just made an incredible play.
Yeah. No,
the Bills didn't screw up or anything. It wasn't Raheem Moore, or it wasn't that guy in the Saints. It was Stephon Diggs.
The best player on the team making the best play of the game, probably the best play of the year. Probably will remain the best play of the year.
Totally. It's nice to see a good football game, at least the finish of a good football game after seeing one of the sleepiest low T performances that we've seen in a while.
Yeah, maybe that's the approach we take. How low T are the Broncos right now?
Their T levels are, to quote singer-songwriter Jackson Brown, running on empty.
Oh, all right, guys. Let me know if I should do a regular review or the reaction review in the comments.
Let us know, and we will do your bidding.
We'll do it. Good night.
And
we keep saying good luck, but it's not on our fucking side.
It's not working.